Hello, everybody. It's Andrew Hutchings here, author of A Systematic Guide to Defeating Tendinitis, but not a licensed physician, so this is not medical advice. And what I say in this video is not medical advice. It's purely educational and for entertainment. And this is a very great book on how to get rid of your tendinitis. But this book says do not use painkillers during the treatment. Because you need to be able to feel what's going on. However, the sad thing is, in a lot of countries, including the United States, it's very hard to get permission, which we should not need in the first place, to dull your pain. Isn't that crazy that if you get some sort of bad injury, or say you have some sort of bodily problem, maybe an autoimmune disorder, your body's attacking itself, maybe you tore a tendon, who knows what happened, but you've got pain. It's very hard to actually get medications for pain in the United States. I know firsthand, but it's not important because it is important, but it applies to so many more people than just me. The sky is looking pretty nice over there. Sadly, even if you have serious pain and you go to a doctor, chances are they're gonna be like, well, you don't really, somehow they think they know what you need or don't need. Waiting for this plane to go by so you can hear me. So doctors are very arrogant, people who work as doctors, not real doctors. They just went to medical school and got licensed to work as a doctor. Occasionally you'll find a real doctor working as one, but these people who work as doctors are generally very arrogant and very ignorant, or they're just very lazy and don't care and just want to do whatever's safest for them. And it's safest for them not to give you any painkillers, because there is a chance if they prescribe you painkillers, they'll get looked into, get in some trouble. And then the arrogant ones are like, well, you don't need nobody needs painkillers unless you get your arm cut off. And if you get your arm cut off, you only need a 10 milligram Vicodin, because that's enough to knock a horse out. Yet, in case you don't know, 10 milligram Vicodin is like, I don't know, you got some bad period cramps because you're a girl. Maybe that's a good use for it. But if you've got real stuff going on, yeah, it's gonna help, but it's not very strong. And they treat that like it's a horse tranquilizer or something, that it's like hardcore. Maybe if you just are super genetically lucky in your response to it, and you've got no tolerance because you've never used it before, and you're a small person, like everything just aligns perfectly, yeah, it might work really great for you. For a lot of people, it doesn't, it's not that strong, but doctors usually are even worse than that, and they'll want to prescribe you ibuprofen, which you don't even need a prescription for, or something else that is not an actual painkiller. Because doctors hate prescribing painkillers, and it probably kills more people than it saves. Because when people who are in real pain aren't allowed, how crazy is that? You need to be allowed to dull your pain. When these people aren't allowed to dull their pain, they have to find some other way, because if you're in real pain, you don't just, well, I guess I don't need to dull my pain, I'll just go about my life as usual and I'll just forget about it. It's doctor said I don't need painkillers. No, they're probably gonna drink alcohol, find drugs on the street. If it's not that bad, of course they'll deal with it, or if they're just physically incapable of figuring out something else. So how can you get a prescription for a real painkiller, an opioid painkiller? Like the really good painkillers are actually anesthetics. If you've got like really serious pain, opioids aren't going to touch it. They'll be like a feather when you need a bulldozer. But how are you going to get a prescription for an opioid painkiller when your doctor tells you, oh no, you just need ibuprofen? Too bad that person who works as a doctor can't be re-educated. But considering that they aren't going to be, you can get a prescription for Suboxone, which is a medication they give to opioid addicts to feel better and have an opioid legally without, yes, they're given to opioid addicts for two reasons. One is maintenance therapy, which is like basically, well, instead of you going to the street and buying heroin, we'll give you some opioids, but we won't give them to people who like break their back because, you know, they don't need it. Only people who use heroin need opioids, because we don't want them to get dirty needles or something. And I'm not saying that I'm against that. I think that's good. People should have access to modern medicine. The problem is they only give it to people that are addicts. And they also give it to addicts to help wean them off of whatever opioids they were using. So I'm not saying to do this because I think I could probably get in some sort of trouble for saying to do this. And it's not medical advice. And yeah, don't do this, just hypothetical. You can just say that you're an opioid addict and get Suboxone, which is an opioid prescribed to you. It's way, 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 way stronger than ibuprofen, or they prescribed a friend of mine Aleve, naproxen sodium, recently. He thought he got lucky because he didn't know what it was. He's like, oh yeah, doctor gave me some painkillers. He hadn't taken them yet. And I'm like, really? That's surprising. What did he give you? He's like, naproxen. I'm like, you know, you can just buy that over the counter at Target. He's like, oh no, the doctor said this is the good stuff. And then he realized that no, it's not the good stuff. It doesn't really work at all. If you got some inflammation, it helps. But if you got, a lot of pain is from inflammation, but it's not, taking an over-the-counter anti-inflammatory is not going to be enough. So what you can do is you find, what would they call it, like Suboxone, opioid. Just try some keywords like Suboxone, opioid treatment. Just start searching on Google, and you can probably just find an online opioid treatment program for addicts that prescribes Suboxone. And what I would do is just be like, well, I'm smoking a ton of fentanyl every day. Not even heroin, because that's not strong enough. Yeah, I'm going through like a ton of this fentanyl stuff I'm buying every day, all day long. And I found some heroin, but it's not strong enough, because even if I have heroin, I go through withdrawal from my fentanyl because it's just so much stronger. I really want to not have to use it because it's dangerous, and that's why I'm thinking about getting on Suboxone. And they'll be like, well, blah, 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 blah. We're thinking about, it doesn't matter what they're going to say. The point is, I would say I'm using the biggest amount of opioids imaginable, the strongest one, that you're going to find fentanyl, so that they prescribe you as much Suboxone as possible. That way you get the most bang for your buck. But just know that it is a real opioid. It's not like a joke. Just because they will prescribe it to you, and just because they give it to addicts to get off of other opioids, does not mean it's a joke, does not mean it's not dangerous. If they prescribe you 8 milligram oral, because it could be sublingual or buccal strips, and you don't have an opioid tolerance, you better not take an 8 milligram strip, because it might even kill you. So yeah, treat it like you would any other dangerous medication. It's not just like heroin, because there's some differences, but it's a hardcore, very, very strong opioid. A lot stronger than, and morphine is superior in my opinion, but it's a lot more potent than morphine or hydrocodone. If you've got no tolerance, like 0.5 milligram to 1 milligram might be a good starting point, but not medical advice, don't do that. But certainly do not take a whole 8 milligram strip. And I'm not sure what the maximum is that they can prescribe you each day. It might be like 32 milligrams. But what I can say is that if you get one short treatment program because they think you're an opioid addict, you will probably have enough Suboxone to last you a long time. Because think about it, if say they prescribe you like 16, or maybe you get really lucky, you get 32, let's just say you get 16 milligrams of Suboxone prescribed to you for each day, and they want you to be on maintenance therapy for a year, so you're getting that for, hopefully you don't need to take it for a year because you don't want to get dependent on it, but also because hopefully your injury is getting better. And say you get 1 month of that, 16, you're probably only going to need 2 milligrams per day. Maybe you'll need 4. Yeah. Either way, you're going to have plenty. So yeah, that's it. If you need painkillers, and doctors are assholes, I figure this video is probably already not going to get monetized ever. So doctors are people who work as doctors are being people who work as doctors, which means they're probably being inconsiderate asshole pieces of shit. Then you can pretend you're an opioid addict and say you smoke fentanyl all day long and get a prescription for Suboxone, which is stronger than the opioids that they won't even prescribe you because they might give you Vicodin. I mean, they're not going to, but if they did give you something, they'd probably give you like a 5 or maybe you get lucky, get a 7.5 or a 10 milligram Vicodin. And 16 milligrams of Suboxone, that's like probably 1 milligram of Suboxone is as strong as 10 milligrams of Vicodin. Now, don't quote me on that, but it's way stronger. And you're going to be getting like 16 of that a day. So, good thing that there is this loophole. I hope it can help somebody, because it's not a good thing when you have serious pain and people who play doctors and think that it's all fun and games screw you over and you're screwed. I hope you appreciate this video. My website is andrewhutchings.org, where you can hire me for consultations. And remember, I'm not a licensed physician, so I cannot give you medical advice, but it's not medical advice if I don't tell you to do it. I just present you with the information, and you decide. It's actually just like when you go to a person who works as a doctor. They think that they're just gonna like dictate what you do, but in reality, what they should be doing is providing you with information to make your own decisions about what you want them to do. Unless you're dying and you can't even respond to them, then obviously they have to decide. And you can buy my book if you want to get rid of tendinitis. And my Instagram is natural_true_fitness. Good luck.